Well, good morning and welcome to Morning Gospel Fuel with Mr. G. It is it's Wednesday, October 20th, the 29th Wednesday of Ordinary Time, and it is the feast day of Saint Maria Bertilla Boscardin, in which she was an Italian nun and nurse who had a deep devotion to her duty in working with sick children and victims of the air raids during World War I. So that was not that terribly long ago. And she died at only 34 years old because of a painful tumor which she had for several years, and it had progressed to the point of requiring an operation in which it went poorly, and she did not survive. So she died in 1922. And her reputation for simplicity and then a devoted, caring, hard work with those children left a deep impression for everybody, in which after she died, a memorial plaque was placed on her tomb, and it referred to her as as a chosen soul of heroic goodness. And so at once crowds flocked to her grave, her first grave at Treviso, and then eventually a tomb was erected for her at Vicenza, and where it became a pilgrimage site where several miracles of healing were said to have taken place. So hence why she is a saint, due to those miracles. Otherwise, I didn't find what she's the patron saint of. Anyway, today's gospel is from Luke chapter 12, verses 39 through 48. Let's begin in the name of the Father, Son, and Spirit. Amen. Be sure of this: if the master of the house had known the hour when the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also must be prepared, for at an hour you do not expect, the Son of Man will come. Then Peter said, Lord, is this parable meant for us or for everyone? And the Lord replied, Who then is the faithful and prudent steward, whom the master will put in charge of his servants to distribute the food allowance at the proper time? Blessed is that servant whom his master on arrival finds doing so. Truly I say to you, he will put him in charge of all his property. But if that servant says to himself, My master is delayed in coming, and begins to beat the men servants and the maid servants to eat and drink and get drunk, then that servant's master will come on an unexpected day and at an unknown hour, and will punish him severely and assign him a place with the unfaithful. That servant who knew his master's will, but did not make preparations nor act in accord with his will, shall be beaten severely. And the servant who was ignorant of his master's will, but acted in a way deserving of a severe beating, shall be beaten only lightly. Much will be required of the person entrusted with much, and still more will be demanded of the person entrusted with more. All right, so we continue with the vigilant and faithful servants in this morning's gospel, in which the reflection today from the Word Among Us says, At an hour you do not expect, the Son of Man will come. Today's gospel begins with Jesus wrapping up a parable and warning us to be ever ready for his return. Notice Peter's response. Lord, is this parable meant for us or for everyone? Why did Peter ask this? Perhaps he was hoping that being prepared for Jesus' return was something he had already checked off his list. After all, he was already a follower of Jesus. Wasn't that good enough? It's clear from Jesus' response that he expects more from Peter and from us. Instead of answering Peter directly, he tells another parable about a servant who took advantage of his master's trust and committed evil in his absence. This story may raise uneasy questions. Are we the servants who should know better? If Jesus returned today, how would he judge us? Although we may tell ourselves we're not as bad as the servant in the parable, Jesus doesn't want us to be complacent. It's easy to fall into the same trap that doomed the servant. The master was out of sight, out of mind. no one knew when he was coming back, so it was easy to forget that he was coming back. Because we cannot see God, it's sometimes easy to forget about him. Other things going on around us gobble up our attention, leaving less for God. We may think we have lots of time stretching before us, so we put off shedding bad habits and making changes that could bring us closer to God. But we don't know what tomorrow will bring. We may find ourselves face to face with Jesus sooner than we think. It can be tempting, like Peter, to wonder if this parable is meant for us, the faithful and the prayerful. The short answer is yes. We have been entrusted with much, just as the servant in the parable had been given much. Jesus has left us to care for his church as well as the whole of his creation. We know the will of our master, and we need to make sure we are about his business. Jesus, help me to be ready to greet you when you come again. All right, there's the challenge. Pretty deep. Have a good day. God bless and keep it real. In the name of the Father, Son, and Spirit, amen.